but tell us why you love the film.
Okay, well, I can definitely tell you why I love the film.
All right.
I
All right.
love the film because, like, well,
Go.
Go ahead.
I love this film for the exact same reasons that I love a film like Black Panther. It's something that you have never seen before, and then you almost tear up a little bit because you start to wonder why is seeing this so foreign to me? Like you like to see our culture, the origins of our culture, where we came from, the what is literally referred to as the motherland, to see early civilizations of us and our people represented with so much respect, with so much reverence, with so much regalness, and to see who we commonly refer to as the most mistreated people on this planet, black women, just held up in such a way that again we're not used to seeing. We're very used to, and no disrespect, because again, I love people like Meg Thee Stallion and JT, and well, I'm not gonna say I love this. I love Meg Thee Stallion. I love her. But yeah, like I love the sexual liberation that women are experiencing and able to express these days. But I also love that there are these images of strong, powerful women that what I'm saying, they're warriors. They're outside of the quote unquote gender norm. And I gotta say, like, slight spoiler, not really too much. I love the fact that yeah, there's slight, it's realistic. There's slight pushback from the men, but the competent men, the men that are in charge, understand the power and the usefulness, the resourcefulness of these women. He treats them with respect, and I think that's important for black men to see that these men fight alongside these women. And to go ahead and get the elephant out the room, yes, they address the participation in the slave trade. We're not we're our people are honest, and it was a great film. And because of that honesty, we got to see something we don't usually see.
Go.
Well, to piggyback off of what Trent said, or what Trent said, I think that it was very empowering to see our women held in such esteem. I mean, the whole movie, it held our people up, and presented us in a way that we don't often see it. A lot of times, we're seen in a negative light, or it's always something negative. So it was really good to see the black woman held up. And then they had some generational stuff in there. They had quite a bit of things in the movie. I thought it was good. No spoiler alerts on my side, but I really did. I thought it was a good movie. I would definitely see it again and again. So it was good. I think every time I see it, I pick up something different. 'Cause I'm sure there's some things that I missed, but I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Good on that. All right.
Mhm.
Damn right.
All right.
But the
As
homie,
did I love it or hate it? The way it was presented, I'm going to have to say I did not like it. I hated it.
Are you ready? Go.
And I'll tell you why. And LT spoke on it just a little bit there. Yes, they did speak on the atrocities that they committed in real life, but they only slightly spoke on it. They Disneyfied it. The Homie Tribe, which it was based on, let me first say, if this movie was just a movie, a standalone movie where it had no historical connection to it, I think the movie would have been great. I think it would have been a good movie. But the fact that they had historical connection to it, I couldn't get with the fact that they tried to pretty it up that the Dahomey tribe was a tribe that sold black people into slavery. They knew what they were doing. They actually not just sold, they kept black people in slavery, slaughtered them, put them into tribal. They sacrificed them into um, tribal events or whatever. Sold them, cut off their heads, cut off their genitalia, did all kinds of things to them, and they kept doing it for a long time. Matter of fact, the British had to stop them from selling black people into slavery when they abolished slavery. And I felt they tried to prettify that up and make it look like a good movie for the sake of selling tickets. And if it wasn't that historical connection to it, I think it would have been a pretty good movie. Then on top of that, yeah, it does tell a different story, and I do like the fact that they show black people in a different light, and kings and queens and stuff like that. I don't know how empowering it is too much for the women. I mean, it's great to see them as warriors fighting side by side with men, but they also had to lose a side of femininity to them where those women could not have children. They couldn't have men. They had to become men and lose all types of feelings that would get rid of their femininity. And it almost, to me, it kind of parallels to what happens here in America. And I'll tell you why. Because right now, a lot of women are single and are doing it on their own without guys, and they're having to give up their femininity because the guys are not there, and they're having to take on the roles of men. That, to me, it seems kind of parallel what's happening in the movie. I don't see how that's empowering in that way. I can see how it's empowering to show that we are other things besides pimps and hoes and rappers and whatever like that. But other than that, there were some things I just didn't think was totally empowering. And I'll speak on this too, because again, I'll bring it back to the historical part. Lupita Nyong'o, who was in Black Panther, she played like the love interest of T'Challa. She was supposed to be the woman king in the movie originally, and then it went to Viola Davis. She had to drop out of the movie because she had did some background on her history. She has a documentary where she does some background on her history, and she came to find out that her people were caught and made slaves by the Dahomey tribe, and she's tearing up talking about it, seeing that my people were caught by these people and put into slavery. Why I cannot star in a role where this actually happened? And again, they did slightly touch on it, but to me, it felt like if there was a movie done about Hitler and they used Hitler to free the Jews from the concentration camp, and then when people were like, well, it's just entertainment. But something that big, you can't just put off as entertainment. It has such a huge historical context. You can't just kind of let that slide by. And I feel like that's what they did in this movie. They talked about briefly, but then they had Viola Davis, who was the woman king, kind of trying to talk to the king, like, we can't do this. We can't sell to these colonizers. Where they were the actual people who were kind of like the colonizers. They were the one who actually were keeping the slaves or selling them for money or other things of value. That's the part where I couldn't get with the movie. If it was just a regular movie, separate from having historical context, the movie could have been a pretty good thing. But I couldn't let that part go.
That movie 300 and the sequel, because it was good, it was liked enough to get a sequel, were about the Greeks. Again, group of all male white men, naked white men. Another thing they leave out: all Spartans are bisexual, but that's neither here nor there. All white men fighting for freedom against a foreign invader to protect their land. It sounds a lot like what the Dahomey was doing in Africa, defending against foreign invaders to protect their land. Now, back to the issue of the character of the woman king. She is fictional. She is not real. Just like we can enjoy a video game like Kratos. I mean, not Kratos, but we can enjoy a game like God of War
She
set
is
in Greek
loosely based off of
mythology.
somebody, though. She is loosely based off of somebody, though. She is
Kratos from God of War is
When-
loosely based off of many Greek heroes, but
what-
that is still one of the best games in PlayStation history.
okay, we're talking about a video game in Greek mythology. Come
But
on.
yeah, we're talking about mythology and I mean,
This is
to these
real, though.
people, this actually happened in the movie. They mentioned Mauliza, who is the Ghanan god, or excuse me, woman and man god.
We're talking about the
So even
woman
though they're
king, though.
talking,
We're talking about the woman king, though. That's a real person they're basing it off of. This is real history. It's not
no, the
mythology.
Dohami tribe
Yeah.
is real history. The
So
woman
it's
king
not.
herself is
Yeah.
not a real that is a fictional.
The woman king is a real person.
Is it who
Based off
is
a real
mentioned in the
person.
film? We
Loosely
need to.
based. Loosely based. It's based off of somebody.
So again, I mean, we not love the film Mulan? And Mulan is a real person,
Come
and is the
on.
movie not loosely based upon her? And there's real adaptations, there's fictional, like we get to interpret different adaptations of different things in different cultures, even when they're not that closely or that historically. Why are we turning to our movies to be historically accurate? Why don't we turn to history to be historically accurate? Because why are we now just talking about the Dohami tribe in 2022? Why has their history been erased? And that's why this movie isn't, that's why this movie and just enjoying it for the story at hand, for the narrative is important, because this is a narrative that's been suppressed
So
for centuries.
so
This is a
tell me,
narrative that they didn't want you to see. And they would rather you look at it from the frame of, oh, well, we shouldn't celebrate or we shouldn't admire this group of people because look what they did. The Spartans raped and pillaged
okay.
each other. Like that's literally what they did. We hailed the Greeks and the Romans, but they literally enslaved each other, they tortured each other, they stole each other's land, and we still hailed we hailed them, we hailed their gods. We love Zeus. Look at our monuments in Washington, D.C. They look like ancient Greek and Roman monuments. We hail these things in other cultures, but when it comes to our own, we shame it. Oh no, look at what they did. Look at what they did when during this time when certain foreign invaders were coming into their land and infecting them with it. I'm gonna play that advocate. They were infecting them with their white evil. Yep, fuck it. You want me to say it? I said it. White people made
So
us do it.
so you're saying because they did it, we should do it too. Are you
No,
saying
but
also
I love the line that, in slight spoiler, I love the line that I can't remember who said it in the film, but if you can convince someone that they are or in a way to what is it? The way to subjugate people is to convince them that they are worth subjugation, convince them that they are, less than. And that's what these people would do. These foreigners from Europe and from Portugal, they would come over and they would talk to the kings and the queens. They would talk to people that wanted to keep their wealth because again, these are armies coming over, or not even armies, but slight battalions with more advanced weaponry. They have guns, they have gunpowder. That's pretty much the two things you have in like the 1800s, guns and gunpowder and shit. But they have, more advanced weaponry, more money, more gold. So you want to trade. That's the nature of Africans. We were trading, we were doing business. And yes, sometimes there is immoral practices in business. We see it all the time. Look at how motherfucking what's my boy Amazon ball Jeff Bezos. Look at how he runs Amazon.
uh-huh.
Terrible business practices. But we let him cook. We still shopping on Amazon. Everyone knew that the slave trade was a terrible industry, but people were profiting off of it. There were kings and queens profiting off of it that didn't want to be enslaved themselves. Because again, a way to subjugate people is to make them feel like they are worthy of subjugation by elevating certain people and lowering other. You're a king, you're a queen. You're almost as good as me, a white person. You're close. We'll let you keep your kingdom and shit. Just give us like 20 of your men, 20 of your women, 40 of your children, and yeah, we'll give you some gold, give you some of our guns and shit. And yeah, you'll get to keep that kingdom and shit. And lesser kingdoms fell victim to it. It happens. It's the nature of humanity. Everyone is afraid when the things that make them comfortable are threatened.
I can't go with that because we know good and damn well if they made a movie, which they probably have in the past, and we probably persecuted, they made a movie about Christopher Columbus, and he happened to come over here and was trying to go and free slaves, we would be all over that. And we can't just say just because it's entertainment, we'll just let it go because it's not historical, it's entertainment. If they
There's
were
a
to make
movie
a
called
movie,
Abraham
No,
Lincoln
if they
Vampire
were to
Hunter.
make a
Like,
movie about Malcolm X, which they have, but in the movie, instead of Angela Bassett playing Malcolm X's wife towards the end and watching him get shot, they put a white woman instead, and she watches him get shot towards the end of the movie. Well, it's just entertainment. We know there's movies that play with history all the time, and they put little things different here and there. They take liberty with history. We know that it happens all the time. So no, you shouldn't look for movies to be 100% valid. But there is huge things like slavery that you just can't gloss over. And they did in this. They did this. Again, so to the fact that they called the white people colonizers, which they are. But you can't just say, well, they're colonizers and we didn't have a hand into it too. They were just as bad as the white people. Like again, the white people had to step in and tell them to stop selling slaves. There's nothing great about that history. And again, in Lupita Nyong'o, if she did not want to do the movie, which is supposed to be empowering to black people, if she did not want to do the movie, there's something wrong with that. I can't get with that. I can't go with these horrible comparisons where, yes, 300 did this stuff and they left some stuff out, but why does that make us, we're not in that position to do that. We can't compare ourselves to everybody else that's out there that has made their own movies like that, because we need to tell the story right. If we're going to tell a historical movie or a historical story, put it as a movie, choose another tribe that didn't do this and that puts us in a good light. We are not afforded that, where we can just put any movie out there just for entertainment, because we know it's going to come back, and when people are going to shed a light onto it, and they're going to go back and look at the past and see if it actually matches up. You know, that's what people are so mad about the movie now. They're going to look at it and say, well, shoot, y'all actually were worse than us. I mean, white
people don't give a fuck about that, because guess what?
they do. That's
Everyone's still going to celebrate. Everyone is still going to celebrate Thanksgiving this year, and we know what actually happened during Thanksgiving.
No, everybody's not. Everybody's not. The same reason why
everybody's not gonna go see the movie either. It doesn't have to be everybody. It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
I want people to go see the movie.
I want people to go see the movie too, but that's just like how you should say it about Christopher Columbus. All the depictions of Christopher Columbus we know aren't right. When you talk to Latino people and they start talking about Christopher Columbus, they want to talk about how he came over here and raped their women and he did this and that. But when they're making movies and talk about him in history books, they ain't talking about how he out here raping people. They ain't talking about that.
But
so
now,
don't make it it seem like though that everything that they do about everybody else is always accurately depicted, because we know that's not true. And not because they did it wrong means we should do it wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that just because they did it.
We get to focus on the story when it's other people. That's what it is.
But
when it's other people, we get to focus on it. We just get to have fun with, like, we know Pinocchio and all of these Disney movies are based on terrible, scary ass fairy tales, but we let children have them and consume them like they're fun and family friendly. We're perfectly fine lying and accepting a story in other other narratives and other media, but it is lying, because
we're not fine with that though.
But the thing is, like, they did mention it in The Woman King. They did mention, they didn't just gloss over slavery. No, they had an actual scene where they depicted them saying, okay, we're about to give up a group of our girls.
Yeah, but they did
but
not
again,
show
because
what
this is
did.
a fictional story. This is a fictional the story that they're telling within the context of the movie is fiction. Just like you can set a story based in World War II, you don't have to take a story that actually happened in World War II. You can tell what is called historical fiction.
Okay, so you're telling me you're okay with people telling lies about Christopher Columbus, like you just mentioned. You're okay with that?
Yeah, because we've been listening to the bigger lies about Christopher Columbus that have been. Again, we have been listening and conditioned and programmed and graded on bigger lies about Christopher Columbus. So we're not even getting the truth in terms of on an educational level. So yeah, in terms of entertainment, I would look at a movie where Christopher Columbus comes over here and frees the slaves. I would look at this like, oh, someone really spent their money on a terrible satire. I didn't know Mad TV made movies. If someone did that, I would say I didn't know Mad TV made movies, because it would be laughable.